I think there's been a fundamental appreciation by the U.S. that silver is a weapon. There will only be one more mine in the silver space that comes into production in 2027. We're not in any of those areas where it's what we call hot right now.
Sure.
So Sonora, it's the top mining jurisdiction where we are. In Mexico, 30% of the GDP is mining. Some of the biggest minings in the world are all.
What's next for critical minerals? What's next for silver? At $83, which is the price on the 3rd of March. It's already come down from its highs, but it's rebounded from its lows. What is happening right now with the price? What can investors expect with the entire silver mining complex? Joining us to discuss this is Glenn Jessome, President, CEO of Silver Tiger Metals. And I've been told you're famous already, so no introduction needed.
Well, I don't know if I'm famous, but it's a pleasure to meet you, David.
Pleasure to have you on the show.
Wanting to get a chat with you for a long time. And,
appreciate it.
I chuckle about what you just said, $83 silver. We're at Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. I think some people know where that is. We've been, our group, 30 years in Mexico only, building serially big silver mines. And the first ones we did were at $8.
When was this?
30 years ago.
30 years ago, yeah.
So think about that, $83 silver. I never ever thought I'd see it in my career. Never. And there's reasons for it that we now understand. And not that I only think we'd never see it, I never thought it would last, and now we do. It's a transformational change in the metal prices.
Is it a little bit worrying to you that it moved from 50 to 100 in a matter of 90 days?
I was at VRIC on the stage.
That's right.
There was a silver panel. They asked me to talk. Maybe they think I know about silver. And it was $120. And I told everyone there, it's going to crash. It's gone too fast. And it's going to go to 90 or 80 or 70. It was several days before.
That's right.
And everybody's hair is going to be on fire. And you're all going to panic and sell your stock. And I said, and I'm going to smile because it's still going to be $80 or $90 and then start moving back up. These are incredible prices. The amount of money that the mine were fully approved and permitted for in Mexico today will make is astronomical, driving exponential NPV. We'll talk about that later. Let's just stay on the silver price because there are reasons this is happening, David.
Why did you not expect $80 silver in your lifetime? You're different from the Keith Neumeyers of the world who've been calling for $100 silver for a while.
Because we can't trick ourselves. We build low capex, extremely profitable mines. We can't trick ourselves into thinking, let's build that mine just in case silver is $50 or $40. We have to stay in consensus because that's a recipe for disaster. And when consensus was 8, 15, 20, we plan our mines to make money. El Tigre, which we're going to talk about later, makes money, very good money, sub $20 silver. Can you imagine where we are now? Because you can't bet the farm on, the price is going to go up. Because it goes up, and someday it's going to come back down.
I've talked to producers who are not raising their production profile or investing more in raising their production profile. I wonder if that's a signal that the industry doesn't think this price is here to stay.
Look, is 80 here to stay? Is 90? Is 70? There's a fundamental geopolitical change in the requirements for metals. Let's call it strategic metals.
Sure.
I think this is important, okay? I saw and started talking about it a little bit in August, September, when the U.S. came out and they said, wow, we're making silver for the first time ever a critical mineral. And if you look at what the definition of that is, it's for the economic protection of the United States and for the strategic defense of the United States. I went, whoa, that's interesting. And fundamentally, I think something has changed for silver. It was always a little bit precious. People love their silver, especially the U.S. market, the coins and buying the physical silver. It was always industrial. It's in everything. It's in from hospital. We're not going to spend all the time everything is in it. But then two things change. This tech world, they need silver. They need it for your phone. That little rig you got in that little camera I'm looking at right there, it's all silver, okay? And you got all these, the big five, They want to change the world with electric cars and more technology and AI, and they want to basically have, oh, we're gonna have green energy. We need solar panels, all silver. And what I really think happened, there's two things, is the input. If they want that, they need silver. Just like it's you need all those other critical minerals, you need that silver. And they don't care about the input because they're building something this big. But they can't build it if they don't have this much silver. They don't care what they pay for that input. And I'm telling you, that's what I think is really going to drive this thing. And then the last thing is the geopolitical. Okay? There's a geopolitical war going on. Call it and I'm rambling here, but I think it's important because I've thought about this a lot. I'm building the world's next silver mine. So I think about where I'm going to be when I'm in production in 18 months. And this China-US, call it a trade war. Maybe it's not shooting bullets, but what happened in January, people really, a couple of things, really have to think about. When we make silver, there's no smelting facilities really in North America. Little Mexico, it all goes to China to be smelted. 73% of the world's silver is smelted in China. They're the second largest producer beside Mexico. That's why we're there. 28% of the world's silver comes out of Mexico every year. Okay, they have control of the silver. And they put a trade ban on export of silver from Mexico unless they want to send it. So the government says, okay, you can send them some and them some and them some. And I think there's been a fundamental appreciation by the US that silver is a weapon. And I don't need to tell you anything more than the announcement that was made, I think it was January, when JP Morgan put $8 billion into a joint venture. 40% the Department of Defense, I think 40% was JP coming in, and 40% was JP, and 20% was, mix the numbers up maybe, the South Koreans that have the technology, and they're going to build that smelter in Tennessee. That's all you need to know about kind of the battle that's going. That's the first smelter in the United States to be built in more than 50 years. So silver's a weapon. And of course, unfortunately, and one last example is when I said that I shouldn't, you saw what's happening in the world. Look at the war that's going on right now. One of the biggest uses of silver in the world is missile technology. And the world has changed. Silver may not stay at $80. Do I think, and I'm telling you that 2 years ago, look, 2 years ago, I was with one of my partners. We were at, 3 years ago, Beaver Creek. That's the big show you've probably heard about, David, where you basically, the Beaver Creek, then you go to Denver. It's the biggest mining shows in the world. We were having breakfast after the first one. Gold was 1,700. Silver was whatever it was. And my partner looked at me and said, do you think it'll ever go to 2,000? I said, not a chance, and it never needs to for us. Something has fundamentally changed, and we believe that now. And some of those reasons are why.
Eric spots that silver's going to 300 this cycle.
Okay. Eric is a very big shareholder of our company.
Yeah.
I don't wave that flag around. We're mine builders.
Yeah.
We don't need to promote that Eric is a very big shareholder. I think he's a brilliant man. I talk to him regularly. And I've heard that, and it doesn't have to. At $20, we make a good return. At 80, it's incredible. At 120, we were like...
How are you making a good return at $20?
That's what our mine is profitable at $20 silver. The LT, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay.
So at 300, we can't even imagine it. Could it happen? If you'd said 2 years ago, I would have said, whoa, what? No. Now, something's changed. Silver, I think, could be the most and we've been doing this for 30 years, only in Mexico, only silver. This could be the most critical metal in the world for the rest of my career. And I believe that now.
Why do you think that the government in the U.S. in particular has made a shift, like you said, now in the last couple of months in November to declare silver and copper, by the way, a critical mineral? The critical aspects of silver and copper have not been like a new thing. It wasn't like as of last December or November, they started becoming critical. Those use cases that you talked about have been around for years and years and years.
Yeah.
But it's just in this current administration, and recently they made this move. Why?
For a long time.
Yeah.
We shot ourselves in the foot. Okay? Extraction of minerals. extraction of minerals, I'm going to say a brave statement here. Extraction of minerals is probably not as detrimental to the environment as farming. One of the most detrimental things in the world is farming as far as the side effects for the environment. But everybody loves the local farmer. We have to. We need that food. Minerals got a bad rap because who really likes their local miner? Nobody. It's dirty, they're tearing up the world, they're digging big holes. Nobody likes it. So what we did is we said, let's not do that. Let's let some other peoples do that. The Chinese, you know what they did? They dominate the world in critical minerals because they said, what fools?
Yeah.
And they went full ahead with it, and they have us right by the hair. And I'm not being critical. I think they were brilliant at what they did.
Right.
We said, you do that dirty work. And now they control all of the critical minerals. That's a problem. They control silver. That's a problem. And the U.S. woke up and said, oh, wow, we got a big problem. That's what happened. And we let that happen. But now we got to change it.
But practically, what's different for the silver industry now that it's become a critical mineral?
Well,
has the government given more support? Have they given grants? Have they given faster permitting times? You know.
So we've always had. Let's just talk. I think we got macro.
Sure.
Let's go micro.
Sure.
Okay. Let's talk about El Tigre.
Let's do it.
Okay. So you understand the power of the money that's flowing to us. It's all about money. It's all about capital. You control the capital, you can build a mine if you're smart enough to pick it. Okay. So, El Tigre, 2017. I acquired the project. It was a public company. I'm a securities lawyer. I think I told you that before. My skill set, and let's talk about our group first. Okay?
Yes, please.
The group has to be talked about. 30 years out of Halifax. I joined about 20 years ago. I'm not a miner. I'm not going to go chip the rocks. I'm not the mining geologist. We have an amazing team over 30 years in Mexico because this group has built 4 big silver mines in that period of time. This group has sold 4 more projects to majors in that time. People who don't understand mining say, well, that's what you're supposed to do. The number, David, is 1 in 3,000. 1 in 3,000 projects. It's really hard. Mining's really hard. You don't say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. 1 in 3,000 from the first exploration become a project that becomes a mine. You imagine? We've done it serially almost every time because the team picks the asset that can be a mine. And that's visionary. And our group and our leadership of that group, part of which I am now, we've been visionary. So all that experience we took and we saw in 2017 at El Tigre in Sonora. Think about the northwest corner of Mexico, 100 kilometers from the U.S. border. Could be a mine. We've raised $250 million, and all of that, and I'll educate maybe because some of your audience may not know, in bought deal financings. What that means is that the smartest long-only institutions on the planet, Franklin Templeton Precious Metals, Van Eck, all invested all that money in us because of the track record and said, if these guys say that El Tigre can be a mine, good chance it's going to be a mine. And they gave us that money and they said, hey, get to work. And so we've done I'm not going to make it complicated. We've done all the work. Hundreds of thousands of meters of drilling. It takes, on average, the second thing is, how long do you think, David, it takes from first drill hole to build a mine on average in the world? 17 years.
I was going to guess 15, yeah.
17 years. We're at year, 8? So we're ahead of schedule. But all of that money gets to the point where you say, I have an economic deposit. I have all the feasibility studies. I've done all the work. Then you need 2 things. You need the money to build it. You need the team to build it. Well, we've proven that. We've been there 30 years, the same team building it. And you need the government of Mexico to say, we approve it. All of those things El Tigre has. Now, what was very good for us at our El Tigre project, and we have now 100 million US in the bank. The capex for the first phase of the surface mine, we'll talk about in a minute, is about 100. Access to the rest of the capital for the underground mine, which we're fully permitted for, is another 100. These are US. We call that a low capex mine. Many are 500 or $1 billion. Low capex. I'm going to talk about the profitability in a minute, but we were so fortunate that in November, we received the first approval. It's hard to get mines permitted. I mean, that's a big problem. Remember what I said about the Chinese? They just ran away. We're worried about permits and this and all the things that happen, and the world passes us by, and they take all the critical minerals, and they're making them, and they've got us. Well, we're going to get out of that hole. We've got to work our way out of that hole. Part of that's the U.S. government saying, okay, we got a problem. Now, we got the first approval for a surface mine in Mexico since 2019 in November. And they said, let's go. So we're building that beautiful surface mine. We're going to talk about the economics on that in a minute. We'll transition to build the underground portion of that mine also. The money in the bank, done already. And I want to talk about why I think silver is so important. And this is a message you'll never see on the internet because of our experience in a minute. So we're building the world's next great silver mine. How many silver mines do you think there are in the world, David?
Operational silver mines being produced.
Yeah, well, there's lots of byproduct in copper, but that's a silver mine.
30?
There were 52 last year.
Okay.
This year, we as miners, we mine ourselves out of business every day. It's a terrible business. We go to work every day, and if we don't add, we're out of business in 10 years, 12 years, 15, whatever the mine life is. So this year...
I'm guessing 30. How far am I?
No, you're close. 52 last year, 46 this year.
Okay.
Next year... 38.
Wow.
There will only be one more mine in the silver space that comes into production in 2027. Silver Tiger will be 39. That's how hard it is. So when you start to see, we make 800, we have made, go look at the numbers. Go to the Silver Institute. If you want to know about silver, tell your people, go to the Silver Institute website. It's all there. We make 800 million silver equivalent ounces. That's all we can make. It's actually going down because we're mining it out. This year we need 1.2 billion. And it's only going to increase with AI and technology. So imagine, I did an MBA. I did a law degree, but I didn't have an MBA. Yeah. I'm a simple guy. Supply and demand. Why is the price there? If this technology world needs that much of that product, they don't care what they pay for it. Because without the silver, there's no product. And that's why that supply demand is coming. And it's
But is this tech revolution here to stay, you think? Silver was needed for photography, and then Kodak died. And then silver died.
That was a little bit of the supply to demand, right? When you look at it now, it's just exponential. We think, look, it went to $120.
Yeah.
Like, that's la-la land for guys like us that have been doing. If I had bet my life it would go to 50 again, I may not be talking to you right now, David.
That's right.
Because we never thought. So something changed. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Here's what's happened. Something's changed. Okay? So, we are always raising money because you need money. You need two things. You need a beautiful project can be a mine. You need a team that can build it and massive amounts of capital. And you can't go raise that capital from your friends and the guys down the street. You need all of those biggest institutions in the world, mainly for us, the top 10, precious metals only. Steve Land, Franklin Templeton, it's public, Franklin Templeton Precious Metals Funds, he owns 9.9% of the company. Every time he just wants to give us money to raise. Now, the last raise we did was right after VRIC. I was flying home. I wasn't looking for money. A bought deal goes like that. A bank, this one's Stifel. Usually it's BMO or Stifel, back and forth over the last year, giving us, Glenn, do you want $40 million? I'm on a plane, I'm tired. I said, well, $40 million, $40 million. It'll get me almost to my 100 million US in the bank. I can almost build this thing. I don't need to worry about any more money. Yeah, I'll take it. By the time the plane landed from Vancouver in Montreal on the way to Halifax, it was at 50. And by the time we closed it and went through the chute, it was 60. But what was amazing, and I'm going to speak to this, and this is what's changed, and people have to follow the smart people. When we do a book on a bought deal, I don't know who's in. I just say, BMO, Stifel, the syndicate, I will take the $60 million. And they just give it to me. No, they have to go then market it overnight. By the next morning, when I said I would take that, there was over 150 million on the book. Incredibly. in several hours. So think about the demand. But those 10 funds were always the core that gave me the $250 million to get to here. It was 35 funds. And some of the biggest funds in the United States, generalist funds, we hadn't seen them play since 2006. And we're raising money very, very actively for all of our companies. They were on for $10, $15 million orders. They only got 2 or 3 or 4 because we had such demand. That's a game changer because they're looking over not 2 hills. I look over 3 hills. You probably look over 4 hills. They're looking over 8 hills. U.S. based and to invest. We're still a small silver company.
Why did you pick Mexico? With your track record and your history, you could have picked any jurisdiction in the world. You chose Mexico to build this project. What's special?
I already told you. Where does 28% of the world's silver come from every year? Mexico. Okay. Think about that. The next China's not even close at second. I think they're 10. And then it's all over the place. If you want to be a silver miner, you better get to Mexico. And that's what we decided to do.
Are you concerned about strained relations between Mexico and the U.S. recently?
Look.
Does that impact you at all?
2 things.
Yeah.
Okay. We've been there 30 years.
Sure.
Okay. Our group, I'm there 20 with it.
Sure.
Building mines. We have never had trouble in Mexico because we are a Mexican company. I want to tell you how I think all of our companies we built. Because Silver Tiger has 3 Canadian employees. And we have 50 Mexican employees. I'm using an example. And as we build this, we're going to have hundreds and hundreds. We've employed thousands of Mexicans, people, and support their families. The government recognized that. So for us, we deal with the federal government, the state government, the municipal government, and for security, the Army. We've never had any troubles there. Number 2, is there a cartel there? Yes. But David, where do you live?
Vancouver.
Okay. We all know how law enforcement works. Or I've been told by some of my very good friends in the RCMP, there's always a criminal element anywhere.
Yeah.
And the police or the enforcers always say, let's get rid of all the crazy criminals and we'll let the ones that are reasonable, that aren't running around with guns and creating trouble, we'll just let them stay because we can deal with them. They never take everything out because if they do, maybe a bad guy would come. So the cartel in Mexico is something that's been there. We have coexisted and had no trouble with it whatsoever. Now, today, we are in northern Sonora. Mm-hmm. There is no trouble there. And I'm going to give you an example I was just back from the BMO show.
That's right.
A lot of New Yorkers there.
Yeah.
Those guys are aggressive, all the hedge funds, and they want to meet with you and talk about why you got the next silver mine. So down south in Jalisco, you've read about it, there's been some things going on. Sinaloa, there was some troubles there. Mm-hmm. We choose very strategically where we have our projects. We stay furthest to the north. We always have done that. We've had great success with that. I would get in a vehicle today and I would drive to our mine site by myself if I had to, because it's completely tranquilo. But the example I used is there's problems in every country.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I said to the guy from New York, he was like, well, it was right when all that press was going on about Jalisco and, the shootings and all of these things were going on in the South. I said, man, you're in New York. Like, we're in Canada. We see your news. Like, that was horrible what happened in Minnesota. The violence, and there was the rioting, and some people got killed. And did you dare come out of your apartment in New York? Did you lock your door to be safe? He goes, what are you talking about? Like, I said, exactly. It's a big country. Mm-hmm. And we're not in any of those areas where it's what we call hot right now.
Sure.
So Sonora, it's the top mining jurisdiction where we are. In Mexico, 30% of the GDP is mining. Some of the biggest minings in the world are all around me.
Can you comment on the grade in that area?
Look, we are, we're not going to get into grade. Well, there's 2 things with grade. We have a mine in Mexico, which is classic Mexico, okay? Think about it this way. And I want you to think about a big flower. This is simple because we don't have diagrams and I'm going to try to explain it.
Yeah.
I'm explaining for somebody who has no idea about mining in Mexico.
Sure.
Not for a geologist. You're not a geologist.
Sure.
I'm not a mining engineer. I'm a securities lawyer. So in Mexico, the biggest biggest silver mines, and some of them we've built through our careers, are what we call a flowering epithermal. And what I want you to think about is a great big top of a flower, and the stem is the vein. And the vein comes from great depth, 30 million years ago. And just like when you go out to Yellowstone and you see those big bubbling geysers, that's what it was. And the veins filled up with gold and silver. 75% silver, 25% gold on average across the country. High grade, multi-kilo ore, high grade silver. And when that vein came to surface, in most places in Mexico at daylights, there was great, we call it great plumbing, broken up rock. And instead of being 1 or 2 or 3 meters of vein that goes to hundreds and hundreds of meters, which you mine underground, you get a blowout of mineralization for hundreds of meters. Low grade, that's your surface mine. So we will have a big surface mine, which we're fully approved for in November, first one since Orla's permit for their project in 2019 in Mexico. And then we'll transition to a big underground high-grade silver vein mine, which we're fully permitted for also. But forget about grade. Let's talk about numbers.
Yeah.
Let's talk about numbers.
Give us a sense.
About who we're here to make money. We're not here to talk about, oh, what a beautiful rock.
Give us a sense of the scale of production. Give us a number.
Okay, so let's be real simple.
Yeah.
Because if I could have charts and tables. We're not going to do that. So think about it this way.
Yeah.
2 mines.
Sure.
Okay. The surface mine we talked about is about 5 million silver equivalent ounces a year when we get in production. We're building it now, fully approved, have the money. It's going to take us 18 months. At some point while we're building that, or shortly thereafter, we'll transition to the underground mine. Okay? The underground mine, fully permitted, will be another, as a start, it will grow in time, 5 million silver equivalent ounces. So think about 10 million silver equivalent ounces. And that's going to say, if it's 18 months, maybe, I'm making a number up, 6 months after that, say 24 months, both are in production. Let's just say that as a hypothetical. 10 million silver equivalent ounces. Low capex. It's not even a couple $100 million US to build these. That's super low capex. Some projects are $1 billion, $500 million, $2 billion. We like low capex.
Yeah.
And because of the surface mine, I think mining at surface instead of underground, you can do that. Now, here's the beautiful part. It's how much money does it make? Today's prices. I don't know about today's prices, but let's say yesterday's prices, because I haven't had a chance to look today. I've been so busy.
Sure.
I know that we got down a little, but let's say yesterday's prices, okay? This project and we get judged on value of a project, and I'll educate. Most people in mining, when they try to project what your value will be when you're built, because that's we're trading at $600 or $700 million Canadian market cap, but we're just getting going. Okay, that's where we are today. That's where we trade. 100 million US in the bank, fully approved to build that surface mine and that underground mine I talked about. But what's that going to look like when it's built? When we execute, and we will execute. So, let's talk about the surface mine first. NPV, and I'm kind of, I know maybe your listeners understand all this, but let me just make it clear, because NPV is what we get judged on, net present value. Because when we do all these feasibility studies, they're all independent, they will give, at any price you want to put in the model, what this project will make at that price. So if we plug in yesterday's numbers, because I did look at them yesterday, okay? The surface mine, when built, will generate, now we got to talk US dollars, not Canadian, because everything's judged in US dollars, David. So we'll generate an NPV, and I'm going to come back to what that's important, of $1 billion US dollars, approximately. It will generate an IRR of an excess of 100%. But here's the beauty. The first 10 years of mine life will generate almost 1.6 billion US dollars net cash flow after tax. That project alone, for an investment of 100 million US, each year will generate, at yesterday's prices, 160 million USD net cash flow after tax.
Right.
And then you ask me why the price is important. I go all the way back to $20 and I still make money. That's the surface mine. The underground mine is a 15-year mine life. It generates, and I got to get this right, it generates a net present value at yesterday's prices, I keep repeating that because I haven't looked today, of 1.3 billion US, an IRR of 150%. Both of these pay back all their capital in less than a year to build them. And that one, rough numbers, makes about 100 million USD net cash flow a year. So think about that. When built in 24 months at yesterday's prices, a 200 million US investment, let's just call it that for round numbers, will generate 260 million USD net cash flow per year. For the surface mine for 10 years, for the underground for 15. And everybody says, well, why is the price important? Look, the price, there's promoters out there, David. They're running around drilling their first drill hole and they get some results and look at the price. They're 10 years from being a mine. I'm sorry, I don't want to criticize my peers.
Sure.
We've done all the work to be here now. And now, the last thing, this is how we're judged. We will trade at a multiple as a silver project. It's just all of our peers do that are in production to that NPV. So let's say we add those two together. It's $2.3 billion NPV. We should trade at either 0.9, 1, 1.1 times NPV. We're trading at 600 million or so Canadian. We should gravitate over the next 24 months, if we build these at today's price or yesterday's price, to about a 3 billion Canadian valuation. It's all about numbers now. This is not, I don't have to drill another hole. I don't have to find another ounce. We just need to build the mine that's already approved, that all the studies are done for, all the work's done for.
So 2 questions.
Yes.
What do you plan to do with all that cash flow?
So everybody asks me that, okay? Yeah. So we're gonna get to it in record time, and then we have many choices, okay? The first thing, we're gonna pay back our capital. That 200 million, it's gonna take us a year. So say year and a half, we're gonna get rid of that. If we have any debt, because of maybe this first 100 million US I have now to build, I've got all kinds of offers for debt for the rest. So I get that as 100 million, pay that back. So we're year 1, year 2, things are good. Now, if we're still at these same prices, there are so many options. I would love to, like many of my peers, my shareholders have believed in me for a long time, decades to get to here. Let's pay a dividend. Or somebody asked me this the other day, said, oh, you'll do share buybacks. I'm not so sure.
Buy another mine?
There you go. So we're mine builders. What many of the big Pan American, so some of the biggest silver producers, they don't have one mine. We have one now. Okay. So will we look at acquiring other? Our track record of picking projects that become mines is pretty good.
Yeah.
So of course, but let's not look over 5 or 6 hills. Let's look over 2. Get this to production. All the work is done now. The hard parts, look, no, I shouldn't say that. The point where we said this is an economic deposit of the smartest people in the world gave us the money to build, and we've got the full approvals to build it. That's the hard thing. Now we just have to execute. We've done that before. Get the cash flow, and then the world's our oyster if these prices stay.
Curious how, from a finance perspective, how a company, not just yours, but any mining company's net present value changes from before production to right after production, because the NPV factors in the resources in the ground, and that doesn't change before production.
No. So the net present value that's being driven here, just so you know, we're talking about 100 million silver equivalent ounces in that surface mine, about 113 million in the underground. Okay, we've got another 100 that's not even in the plan, and we're going to keep exploring north and south. We're talking about 2 kilometers of 25. All of those resources are not built. This is total financial model based on the production profile in that feasibility study or pre-feasibility study or PEA or whatever it's going to be.
But how does a company's stock change, or how should it change theoretically the day you start producing?
Well, let's go back and do that again. I wasn't clear, and I apologize, David. So right now, we're trading, and we're going to make, let's just say the price stays where it is.
Sure.
God, metals have to stay. Metals go down, it's left. If they go up, it's more. But as a snapshot, sensitivity table we call it. If you take the snapshot, and these are yesterday's prices because I actually looked at the numbers. I don't know what today. So if we take that, we're trading at 600 million market cap Canadian today. If we build both of them over the next 18 to 24 months,
Okay.
another hypothetical, okay, we will. That's our goal. We've done it before. And you look at the NPV just for the 10-year production profile of the surface mine and the 15-year. That will increase as you drill more, but this is a snapshot. Then the NPV spit out of the model day is 2.3 billion, roughly, US. Let's convert that to 3 billion Canadian. As we build this, not overnight, as we start to build, it's going to not just happen overnight. Oh, we were 600 and we're in production and we're now, it's called the Lassonde curve. You get to go up the side of it, okay? And it's a privilege to go up that part of the Lassonde curve. We've been in all of them. You will gravitate to about, in Mexico, on average, it could be a little higher or lower, 1 times NPV. Most of my peers trade there. So that is the goal that we're going to go. So if you look 600 to 3, that's the return. And that's not, you can't guarantee that's happening, but that's what's happened for those that come production. That's the test. That's the gold standard test, and that's what we want to build towards. And it's not, oh, find some more ounces or how much you're getting for the ounce in the ground. There's more. That is just the production profile for those 2 projects we're going to build.
So what's next for you from today? What's the next milestone?
So what we're doing is we received that approval from the Mexican government to proceed with our surface mine in November, first one in a long time. December was a shutdown month in Mexico, so we have a fantastic team. My CEO has built multiple mines in Mexico. He has a build team. We have that. So we've actually started what we would call construction, road building, camp building, clearing the land. But the big next thing for us in the next couple of weeks is we will announce who the EPCM contract will be awarded to. So what many mining companies do is they will use very experienced engineering companies to assist in the building. I'll use an example of one, okay? And it's an American company. Many people would know this one, David. It's called Caps Cassidy, KCA. They're one of the most experienced mine building teams on the planet. We know them very well. We've used them before. So they come in and bring their whole team with your build team, the engineers, everything you need, and you're almost like when you build a house, you have a general contractor and you hire the contractor. Think of them as a contractor with our mine building team as the general contractor that we have in-house. And that is when things just really start to go with the build. Okay. We'll announce that contract in the next week or so, and then the clock starts ticking. The studies say we should be able to build this in 18 months, even if it's 20. I've been telling most people 20. We get that first surface mine done, and then we transition to that underground. And in 2027, 2028, we join that diminishing list of silver mines in the world. There's not many. It's a wonderful time to have done the decade almost of work to get to here. In a price environment we never ever thought we'd see.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Glenn. I appreciate your time.
David, it was just a pleasure. I got to come back sometime as we're building this thing, give you an update in 6 months.
Yeah, there's a lot of updates to give to the audience.
There you go.
Become the 39th mine.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. You got it.
All right. Thank you very much for watching. Follow Glenn and his company and his developments. Link down below.